Hey guys, yeah. We didn't win against the Jaguars. It didn't really look too good in that game against the Jaguars. But I just wanted to go over some notes of like things I noticed in the game and what I think we need to do to get better and whatnot. I had a lot of problems with pretty much the play calling. I know when we first started off the game, we were doing a lot of run plays with Chuba getting him the ball and going in there, but I think we should have used that time to have Bryce throw more passing plays. I know most people like the whole ground and pound, and Dave Canales' philosophy is that he wants to be like a run first team, but I think we have to incorporate the pass more, and then obviously with Tedero McMillan being our first pick in the eighth pick, I think that we should have we should be more of a passing team, and I think that would have got XL more involved into the game, and I also think that we could have had more better opportunities because then once we started throwing the ball, I felt like it wasn't really all that smooth. Bryce had that one play to Hunter Renfro. Had he put it a little bit further, could have been a touchdown. And I just felt like we should have been more on the attack more during that game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Another thing I would like for us to do is probably to get Jimmy Horn. Hopefully, he can get more involved in the next game against the Cardinals. I know we're doing like the three receiver set, but we really may need to get Jimmy in that position because I think we need more speed in that in our offense right now. I think that helps out. I noticed last year that whenever Xavier Legette or Jalen Coker, when they're on the field together, Jalen Coker and XL, we do great. I feel like they complement each other, and then it also helped having Thielen out during that time when we had all three of those receivers together to come together and play. But I actually think that we need more speed. We need to get Jimmy Horn Jr. Out there, and I also do believe that once Jalen Coker gets back, that our offense should start to pick up a bit. It's just it's kind of weird that they had cut Renfro, before the 53-man roster, and then when they brought him back, he's like starting, and I just felt Jimmy Horn Jr. should have at least seen the field a little bit more in that game. Um, yeah, like I said in the my first video talking about the game, I knew our linebackers were going to be an issue. We had that one missed tackle that Etienne with the Jaguars was able to take for 70 yards, and that didn't really help us out at all. I I don't know how we're going to address that linebacker issue without hopefully, like a trade. But I know Dan Morgan wants to keep a lot of assets after we did that last recent trade with Thielen with the Vikings to get more picks. So I know we want to keep more picks for the next upcoming draft because, we want to get more players in. And, with the linebacker core, we'll see how it goes. I almost forgot that Josie Jewell, I guess, depending on his health, could potentially come back. But I mean, I don't know if we should just sort of bank on him eventually, coming back or whatnot. But that linebacker issue, it has to get solved. That's going to be a backbreaker, and luckily our CBs looked pretty good against the game and against Jacksonville. You had J.C. Horn. He had that one interception. So and we didn't really have Trevor Lawrence throwing any like deep bombs over us or whatnot. So I felt we did a good job on that. as far as defense, but as far as like our linebackers go and stopping the run, I just thought that didn't help us out either. And then some of our offense still going pretty slow. That was pretty bad. That was pretty bad for us. And then the other thing is, XL's mishap. I at first thought he caught the ball, and then when I was watching the game, they showed on the replay that he didn't catch the ball. He didn't get 2 feet in, which I don't know how that's possible. He had so much room to get the other foot in, but I think we got to start getting him in. I think if we get Jimmy Horn in, and I mean the unfortunate thing with Jimmy Horn is like he's crafty, and I think he's more of a like short range, medium range, but I don't think he's like the more of like a vertical down the field kind of threat that I was hoping that we get in the draft. I was really hoping we got LaJohntay Webster when I went to go see him when I lived in Tucson, Arizona, when the Colorado Buffaloes came down to Tucson to play the Wildcats. LaJohntay Webster was like making like a lot of plays. He had like one good deep ball play, and I just wish we had more of that vertical, almost like Ted Ginn Jr. Kind of vertical threat. But with Jimmy Horn, he does bring speed, so I think that would have sort of helped out with XL and Teteroy McMillan, because Teteroy McMillan is like a big body target. He doesn't really have. He has some pretty good deceptive speed, but he's not really like a just line him up straight up burner, And then XL, he's physical, he has power, but I don't think he has that straight line like burner speed. Really, that's something we may have to get in the next draft. But I think Jimmy Horn Jr. is probably our closest to that on our team that has that maybe straight line burner kind of speed, but that's the only one. But I think we got to start getting XL into the game, and we can do that by, I would say, starting to blend more to passing it. I hope our second game against the Arizona Cardinals that we're not just trying to like run the ball, and then eventually trying to get the pass. We need to mix that up. I think that works better for Bryce, because the last thing I want for Bryce is to get into a sort of Russell Wilson, a Russell Wilson kind of like same, I would say, trajectory, because, with the whole like let Russ cook, when Russ was with the Seattle Seahawks, they did do a lot of running, and then they mixed in with the passing, and then, Russ wanted to pass more, let Russ cook, and I just pretty much get like a little worried that well, first we got to have a success with Bryce, but I get a little worried with that Bryce might fall into that same footsteps as Russ, as like he wants to, throw the ball more, and he wants to still prove himself. But I think if we can just blend it and then eventually let Bryce do more, because I think we even though we want to be a run team, we may just want to pass, but still have the run. Like I'm not gonna say like 70-30, but I would say 60-40 would be like 60 pass and then 40 run would be like a good ratio for me on that one. Another thing I noticed on there. Well, I'll get into talking about the positive I wrote down. I thought that Bryce and T-Mac had a pretty good connection. There was that one fourth down play where it should have been a touchdown. Well, it should have been actually a PI. I thought that was a little pass interference. You can see the defender grab his other arm, and that's probably why he did the one-handed catch. So I thought there was a little PI on that one. But overall, I liked it. There was some good gasher plays to T-Mac. It'd been nice to see Jatavian Sanders catch that one ball, and then also Leggett had that one ball. But it just seemed like most of the bigger plays were just going to T-Mac. So we we most definitely have to start getting other players in, and yeah, T Mac catching those big gainers down, the sidelines or in the middle. We're good, but we most definitely got to start connecting with JT Sanders and Leggett on some of those big plays. And let's see the other positive. Chuba. Chuba held it down. He was going solid running. I now to talk about our run game. I kind of wish we would add Rico Daddle in there a little bit more because I feel like with Chuba, he's a consistent runner, and that's good. He'll get like 4 or 5, and then he'll eventually get to 10. But with Chuba, I just don't feel like he has the 50, the 60, the 70, kind of like big yard running game. I think we can get more of that out of Rico Daddle. So I was kind of confused in our game against Jacksonville why we didn't use Rico as much, or why we didn't have because we need that explosive, and that was needed sort of pretty much because like I said, we had that Renfro play. That was a big play, didn't happen. We had the play with Leggett, although that would have been like a first down. It should have been a nice chunk. That didn't happen. We didn't really have that many like big moments. That's, to be honest, the only big moment was like I would have to say J.C. Horn interception, and I'm drawing a blank thinking about the other one. But I mean, we only scored 10, but yeah, we definitely need to get Rico Daddle and involved in the road game, in the run game, so he can give us some more explosive plays. Because I mean, Chuba's good and consistent, but I don't see Chuba always breaking off for a 50 or a 60, deep yard gash. I think Rico has that more in his repertoire than I would say Chuba. But Chuba's still a great running back. He still had 1,000 yard rushing last year, and I do think we can turn things around. I'm just hoping that it's not so much as contingent on maybe Jalen Coker showing up, and because you see, the receivers should be able to do their jobs, make big plays without so much Jalen Coker not being there. But then also too. With Hunter Renfro, I do know that him and Bryce may have had some maybe timing issue. They didn't probably like practice as much together, or he with Adam Thielen not being in that role, and I know Thielen and Renfro are probably a little bit different, so he had to get used to that. And then you got Tedero McMillan. You still got to get used to that, and then Excel for whatever reason, he was getting pretty covered, and he wasn't really getting too much into the game. We had more of a focus into the runner. So I just think that we can turn it around. I just think that we gotta make sure that we get better with our linebackers. We need to. We need to get speed. I really do think we need to start trying to get Jimmy Horn involved to at least give us a little burst of speed. Renfro still has like a good shake and bake, and he can get over. But I still do think that we need to start getting a little speed into our lineup. But as far as us turning it around, yesterday's game, it was well, not yesterday's. I should have did a reaction after the game, but just other stuff has been going on. But that game wasn't all too bad. I felt like there were moments we could have got in there, but I just think that some of the bigger issues in that game against the Jacksonville Jaguars were that it, the play calling was a little bland. We had turnovers. Bryce fumbled. There was an interception. Um, and also another negative. We need to start getting our young defenders out there. I didn't know that we didn't have our young ends, Nick Gordon and Princely, Uman Mielen. We didn't have them in there, so that's pretty weird too. That we would we need to hurry up and go on this youth movement. There's no reason that it's like week 1 and let's just go full into the youth movement. We got a young roster. Let's just do it. Let them learn together. Let them take loss together. Let them work for a win together, and then build a win together. This is a young unit. And I think we need to do that going forward. But I do think that the Panthers can hopefully salvage this. I just think we need to get a youth movement going. Go ahead and get the young players playing on defense. Go ahead and get the safety we drafted in the 5th round from Ohio State. Get him in the game, and then get Damani Richardson in the game, who was I believe an undrafted free agent last year. Get these guys in the game, and let's continue this youth movement. See what we have, and get ready for next year, and then we can start building this thing better. But yeah, that was my viewpoints. I don't think that the season's a loss. Saints look pretty bad. The Falcons were actually Tampa Bay and the Falcons. They were going back at it. I was watching the games, and I saw that game, and they were going pretty good. So I think we can. We're not at it. We're not out of it. Even if we go 0-2. That's not good, but I seriously do think that we could possibly, we could possibly still win the division if we go 0-2, but 0-3 we cannot. I don't think we're that good enough to bounce back from like an 0-3 kind of start to the season. I don't. Well, at least to get into the division, because I don't think we're gonna outright make the playoffs by like saying going, let me say a number like, we're not gonna go like 12-4, 12-4, or like 12-5. It'd be 12-5. So we're not gonna go like win 12 games this year, but I think we can win the division, whatever number that is to win the division. It might be somewhere like, I'll say like 10 or so. I don't think we're going to win 13 games, but I think if we do go like 0-2, I think we can still get close to 10, be like at 9 or 10. We'd probably get 10, but I don't think we can go 0-3. So I don't think the season's at a loss, but yeah, we just gotta. This game against the Cardinals is gonna show us a lot about the season, and see if we can rebound from here, and see if we learned our lessons from that mistake that happened down in Jacksonville. But yeah, that's my opinion on the games. All right, bye.